Welcome to Meet the Candidates. I'm Deanne Healy, your host, and this is a forum where we'll introduce you to the folks that are running for elected office this season. And joining me now is John Turco, who is a candidate for Councilor-at-Large. John, thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me, Deanne. I appreciate being here.
Absolutely. So you've been a Councilor-at-Large now for, what did you say, 8 years?
6 years.
6 years. So this will be your fourth time that you're running.
Correct.
So why don't you just share with us what made you want to be a Councilor-at-Large?
Well, if to say why I wanted to be a counselor, I would have to go back to my time as Ward 1 counselor. So when I originally wanted to be a counselor, it was because I had felt there was a disconnect between city government and the people. And, I was somewhat well-known in my home ward of Ward 1. And, I constantly asked questions, and I just felt that there needed to be a better connection with the people. And, it was as simple as that. It was, I'm going to run, and I'm going to be a conduit for the people between them and city government. And that's what I've tried to accomplish. And after 4 years as Ward 1, I felt that, there was more I could do, and I ran the large seat, and it's been great. It's been 6 years. I've met a lot of good people throughout the city, and it's become about the whole city rather than just one district.
Right, great. Has there been a big change between being a ward councilor versus an at-large?
Not for me, not really. I think ward councils generally respond to a lot more issues, and because I was a ward councilor, I have the comfort level of Ward 1, so they still reach out to me quite a bit, and that reputation has transcended throughout the entire city. So I think people as a whole feel comfortable reaching out to me, and so I haven't seen much of a change.
Okay, great. So you've been on the council now for a while. What do you think of what do you consider the three biggest issues facing the city in the next coming year?
I think the biggest issue is going to be the budget. If I was forced to name three, I mean, I would say budget. But
Okay.
if you
That's
want
fair.
to, I mean, honestly, I think it's that important to the city. But along with the budget comes with the finishing the construction of the public safety building, the construction of the new high school, and then you have your standard every 2-year issues that a lot of people promise they're going to resolve the traffic issues and traffic. Yes, we can do small things for traffic. It's always going to be an issue in this city,
Sure.
just by where we lie. And I don't. If you want, if you say a third one, we'll say schools, but again related to the budget.
Sure.
The school districts are all hurting throughout the entire state.
So, what is your position, or how do you approach the fact that Peabody does enjoy one of the lowest tax rates, residential tax rates, in the state, and residents don't want to see their rates go up? How do you balance that with knowing that all these projects are coming down the pike, that expenses increase every year, just like everyone's household? So, how do you go about that process of?
So I think it's going to be more important for this council this year and the next, actually probably over the next decade, to come up with new revenue streams in this city. Otherwise, I mean, some of it is the burden's going to fall on taxpayers one way or another. Peabody is no longer the lowest, that we all knew about it. It's slowly climbing up,
Sure.
even within our own region. I want to say it might be even the fourth lowest now in this congressional district. But
Still pretty good.
yeah, no, it's very good, and that's definitely going to rise with the cost of a high school, the cost of a public safety building, the cost of some of our buildings that had gone, 20, 30, 40 years without, care and maintenance.
Right.
So, it needs to get done, and then we, on the other side, can't completely put that burden on residents. Some of it is going to go to the residents, and and I'm a resident also, so. I think even on a personal level, I want to see us just look at further revenues, and I've mentioned it in previous interviews that zoning is going to be the most important thing. And zoning to allow different businesses to come into areas that they generally weren't allowed.
Right.
Centennial Office Park being one.
I was just going to ask about that Centennial Office Park, the Rousselot, the redevelopment of the Rousselot. What would you like to see in those areas?
Well, I would love to see more medical medical research in the Russell area. It's just for the, well, I guess I could see that in Centennial also, but for the Russell area, I don't think that's going to happen. I think that, there's a plan, not a plan, but there's an offer on the property, and they're going through the due diligence period. I think it's going to stay. Logistics, manufacturing is tough in this country now. There's not a lot of manufacturing out there. As far as the office park, I think that, yes, you could go more medical. It already has the basis with Salem Children's and some other office medical office buildings there to go medical research in the area, and also to open it up to more retail and some housing, which for a decade, it shows how you grow as a city councilor. For almost a decade, I was not in favor of any housing. I came from Revere, Massachusetts, and we were inundated. I still think that they went a little overboard. But there's that happy medium where an area like Centennial can handle additional housing, and you have direct access without going through the residential neighborhoods.
Right.
Get right on 128. From there.
And do you think, and that would require some zoning changes to allow that to happen?
Correct.
Right. And just to be clear, the city doesn't have a whole lot of input in the redevelopment of the Rousselot property because it's already zoned for a specific use, right? So only if somebody wanted to change the use could the city really weigh in.
Right. And I think that, that's a possibility if, this potential deal falls through and the city, doesn't see any potential buyers in the near future.
Right.
That's something we could also look at rezoning. That I would be very, very careful of because it's right on top of people's houses on Washington Street. So we have to be cognizant of that. And, we all want to be business friendly. The number one thing is the residents. We live here. You have to be kind of walk that fine line of how you're going to disturb somebody. There's unintended consequences with everything that we do and everything that we allow to get built. And,
Right.
We just have to be aware that people live directly across the street, very close.
Sure. What would you like to see, since we're talking about kind of redevelopment and investments, what would you like to see happen with downtown Peabody?
Downtown is probably the only area of Peabody that I would say needs market rate housing. The call has always been affordable housing, affordable housing, affordable housing. We've done very well at that, at least allowing affordable housing. Some of them haven't been built yet, and that's just that's a victim of the economy and the cost of construction.
Right.
They will get built at some point. Downtown, I think, is a little bit different. I think that downtown needs to be more market rate housing and less affordable housing in order to support those businesses. Those that would fall into affordable categories aren't going to be able to go over to a Brody's or a One Main or a Granite Coast and spend a decent amount of money to support those businesses. We already have a lot of that down there. But if you allow expansion of some of the existing buildings and make them market rate, I think that you bring in people that don't need a car, don't care if they have a car, maybe older population that wanted to downsize and wants a walkable, livable community where they can walk across the street and spend their retirement fund or whatever they would like at one of those restaurants and then just walk home.
Right.
There's a huge call for that in this country.
There absolutely is. I totally agree. What you mentioned the building of the new high school that's been approved and everything. What do you see the relationship between the new school and bringing back some of the technical programs or business programs back to that facility that maybe went away with the Essex Technical School?
Yeah, I think that it's extremely important. We've seen parents as a whole with the cost of college. They're actually pushing their kids back toward the trades. I think you and everybody else in the city knows I'm a union guy, but 32 years in the union. I support blue-collar labor, and I think that not every kid needs to go to college.
Right.
Build this high school, put some good vocations in there that put kids to work. One of the things that the mayor and Dr. Vidala and Bev Dunn have been working on is an aviation program. It gets lost often that Logan Airport is 15 miles from Peabody. It's an economic engine for this community, and it employs 40 or 50,000 people at that airport. So I think it's a great plan that they're going to implement that aviation program. There's so many avenues you could take. But along with that, bringing back some of the other trades to give these kids a leg up where they can graduate high school and actually get into the workforce without, $200,000 worth of debt
Right.
saddling them. So I'm excited for the new high school.
One thing you touched on when you first started speaking tonight was, residents, I forget how you worded it, but what I'm hearing a lot during this election season is the communication. Residents feel like, or some group of residents feel like, they're not getting the information that they need. They don't understand maybe the process that goes in through making certain decisions, whether it be budget cuts or property purchases, whatever it is. How would you go about, or how do you think the city can go about increasing the level of communication, both from the residents to the city, so they feel heard and back the other way?
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking about on the council level, I saw it a little differently, and I know I'm on the inside, but I see this as being a very responsive council. I think that everybody is in constant contact. There's a million ways to reach each one of us. We try to walk people through processes and help them, on a daily basis with these things. As far as the city goes, the city could do a better job with a number of things. The mayor, if you remember back when Brody's was opening, he did a little video snippet on PeabodyTV to tell people about Brody's. I think more of that on a monthly basis needs to happen. Like, hey, this is what's going on in the city. This is where your money's going.
Right.
People just want to know that this is why we bought things. This is why we spent this money. This is why, $500,000 went to a park, but it wasn't. It was designated for a park. That we can't use it, anywhere but for a park.
Yes.
And it's explanations like that that I think go a long way with people.
Right.
So better communication and, in the same sense, better marketing for the city. Excuse me.
Okay. The other issue that has come up a lot is about the condition of the streets and sidewalks in the city. Is there a better way that this process can be managed so residents know when their street is up for repaving or how long they're going to have to wait?
Yeah, it's an issue every year. We submit our list sometime January, February to the mayor, which councilors prefer, ward councils and at large, where they think which sidewalks are the worst in certain areas of the city.
Okay.
Then DPS makes that final decision. I think there needs to be a street and sidewalk database that you have residents that have been on there for 3, 4, 5, 6 years.
Right.
And if some residents feel like their sidewalk is the worst in the city, and you could very easily explain, to a resident, well, no, you are on the list and you'll be there, but these are the ones that are in the worst case scenario. But you need to have that data there.
Right.
And I know, to expect DPS to explain to each and every resident as to why, their sidewalks not being as difficult. We as city councils can do that. We're normally the first avenue that residents take.
Right.
But I think it does need to be more systematic.
Yeah. So there's not a master list that says okay, every 20 years, every road will get repaved.
Yeah,
it's basically on need.
Yeah, not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Just to go on that just a little bit, we know that Centennial Park, needs to be repaved. And I'm very truthful with residents. As an elected official, yes, I want to pave Centennial Park. I know it needs it. But when I get 15 calls from residents that their 15 residential streets need to be paved, where do I put the priority? Do I put the priority in the residential streets, or do I put that money towards Centennial Office Park? And there's a finite amount of money.
Well, let's see. If you attracted a new business to Centennial because of better streets, you'd have more tax revenue, right?
I guess that's, if that's the deciding factor for the business.
I tease you.
Yeah.
Well, really, we are running out of time right now. So there are a number of, there's 5 positions at large, right? And there's more candidates running than positions. So why should somebody cast a vote for you, John?
I think my record speaks for itself. I've been fair for 10 years. I've been responsive for 10 years. It's not something that's I don't go out to be a city councilor because, you know, it's the greatest thing for my life. I go out to be a city councilor because I want to help people, and I've met a lot of good people over the last 10 years. One of the deciding factors for me to run for a sixth term was the fact that I supported a new high school and I supported a new public safety building. And far be it from me to put those responsibilities of paying for those things on a new council. I'll ride it out, and you know, I'll work on finding ways that it's less of a burden on the residents. But I don't think it's, you know, fair, quote unquote, for me to say, okay, I voted for these things. I'm going to walk.
outta here.
I'm going to walk away, and this is going to be somebody else's issue. So there's a lot to be done. I think that it takes a while to become a good city councilor, and I'm there. You know, I feel like you know, 10 years I'm comfortable in my own skin as a city councilor,
Right.
and what I'm you know, what I'm doing, what I need to do to make this a better place to
Right.
live.
And now you bring some history, right? Because
Right.
you know why some past decisions have been made and
Correct.
that type of thing. Yeah.
Right.
Great. Is there anything that we didn't touch on tonight that you wanted to talk about that's important to you?
No, I think, well, you know, I will mention actually the opioid epidemic.
Yep.
You know, as everybody knows, you know, we received a substantial amount of money from opioid settlements, and there is a social services division at City Hall, and I don't think we've tried to publish it, publicize it a little bit, but it needs to be out there more. That there are, you know, if you have a child, a family member, friend that's struggling with addiction, the city does have scholarship money, we call it,
Okay.
where you can reach out to the city, and they will help subsidize drug treatment in a 30-day program.
Okay.
So I don't think enough people know that.
Right.
And,
Now, is that related to the Bloom program that's been released?
I don't know.
No?
I don't think
Okay.
I don't think it's part of the same program, but you know, not entirely related.
They're not. Okay.
Yeah. So, you know, there's help out there. You know, I've lost 3 siblings to overdose, so it's very near and dear to me. And I think that more people need to know that there's help out there.
That's great. I didn't know about that.
Yeah, and we'll definitely get that more public. I plan on having the social services division before the council and getting some updates from them right after the new year, and then we can publicize more from there.
Yeah. Excellent. All right. Well, you know, good luck. Election's just a couple weeks away, and I wish you the best.
Thank you so much, and I appreciate you having me.